Help, I'm pushing up, Rotate.
Bruno, they're rotating back. They're rotating back.
They're gonna go, just rotate, guys, just rotate, give it up. Nice, rotate.
Greetings and welcome to episode number 21 of the Rotation with Zhack. Blackjack, baby! We did it. No one thought we would make it 21 episodes deep, except for me and you. You guys show so much love and support for the Rotation with Zhack, so let's ride this thing forever. Let's take it all the way to 1,000 episodes and beyond, because I'm never gonna stop. I love doing it. You guys love when I do it. The Call of Duty League is amazing, and as long as it is around, we're gonna continue to record the show. Everyone, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Hit me up with questions, comments, what you want me to talk about on the rotation at Zhack16. And exciting news, if you haven't heard, everything is now consolidated to one spot. I got my YouTube name changed. That is now Zhack16, Instagram Zhack16, Twitter Zhack16, Twitch Zhack16. So everything, just look up Zhack16 on the internet. You will find me. You will find the Rotation with Zhack. Share it with your friends, family, and Call of Duty lovers. Make sure you guys do that so we can grow this community and continue to talk about the Call of Duty League. And that is what we're doing today. Lots of exciting topics on the show, and we're going to kick it off with some First Blood. And the take today has to do with something I saw surface on Twitter yesterday, and it's in regards to Clayster. I saw Deserto tweet about it, and I saw the clip of Clayster playing with Zuma, and basically him and a couple other guys have talked about this. Call of Duty League pros are speaking to the anticipation that the Call of Duty League will die to Warzone. That is a scary situation to me, and it's something that is very real, that has to set in with the growth and how Warzone has taken off, how many viewers it has and takes away from the CDL. So let's break down this situation and talk about it together. Let me know what you guys think. Clayster went out, he's playing with Zuma, they're playing like league player pubs. I don't even think he was in his game. I think they're just in a Discord together. It was him, Asim, Ben, and then Zuma. So Clayster said that he doesn't know what's going to happen because this was like a minute clip that surfaced, and he got mad at Deserto because they just posted the minute clip and said Clayster says that the CDL is going to die. And he's like, okay, you took it out of context. We talked about it for like 10 minutes. I listened to the whole 10-minute conversation, and a lot of good points were brought up, and we don't think that the Call of Duty League is going to die right away, plain and simple. That's not something you guys have to worry about. The CDL is still in its infancy, and when you really think about it, it has not had the chance to blossom thus far. What we've seen is about 3 months of the actual Call of Duty League and how we planned it to be, and then COVID hit. Then we went online for Modern Warfare. That entire season basically was played online. And into Cold War, we played the first half, 3/4, 2/3 of the season online until we finally started having LAN back again. The Call of Duty League has not been able to live up to the expectations that they had because they can't produce the content that they have wanted to due to COVID. It put a damper on the whole business plan and the model of the Call of Duty League. Because when you break it down to its simplest form, when you look at the Call of Duty League, we were planning on having all these franchise teams, and they were going to host their own matches in their own market. No one has had the chance to do that, really. Like, home series have been online. Even at the LANs that we've brought back here in Cold War, there's no fans. It's not the same thing that the Call of Duty League wanted. So that's one thing to touch on right there, is that we have to still give the Call of Duty League a chance. And I think this next upcoming year will be the deciding factor and the telltale sign of how the Call of Duty League will either succeed or fail as a business and a franchise model. I have high hopes for the league if they can do a couple of things. And some of those things are what Clayster, Ben, Asim, and Zuma all talked about, and I'll touch on those in a second. So that is one of the biggest things that was brought up, and that I do agree with, is that the Call of Duty League has not had a chance to show its true colors and prove that it's an entertaining, competitive league that fans want to be a part of. So that's number one. And a lot of the problems and challenges around the Call of Duty League and what fans have been bashing on, and they're out of line to do so in my opinion, is they're talking about viewership numbers. All the time you hear fans, you see the chat on YouTube, people on Twitter posting, the Call of Duty League is dead, they don't get any viewers, if OpTic's not playing, nobody watches, yada, 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 the list goes on and on. Everyone in the moment right now is just caring about those concurrent views and people who are live in the current moment watching that certain match that is playing within the Call of Duty League. When you break it down, yes, we saw the viewership numbers from the Stage 4 Major on LAN. When OpTic was playing, they had the 3 highest viewed matches of the weekend. That was it. The grand final didn't even have that many views. It was like 50 or 60,000. Don't quote me on that. But I think the OpTic matches when they were playing Dallas reached 60, 70, maybe 80,000. You have to understand that that's live and in the present. When you go back and look at the VODs and the viewership there, the Call of Duty League's numbers are not too shabby. When you look at the previous final day, Championship Sunday of the Stage 4 Major, I believe that it has over 1 million views on the VOD. So while people may not be watching live and in the present, they are going back to consume the content that the Call of Duty League is providing. They hear about it on Twitter that the Atlanta FaZe and Dallas Empire in the grand finals go the distance, all 9 maps in a best of 9, and then they're like, damn, I got to go back on YouTube and watch that match, see how it broke down. So while the concurrent views and the present viewership may not be at the peak that people like to see it at, like when League of Legends and the LCS Worlds and these big tournaments and the big splits that they're having are touching 100 to 200,000 live viewers on Twitch, that's not something that's happening for the Call of Duty League. But when you go back, we're reaching millions and millions of viewers on the VODs, and you guys are soaking in the content and watching everything that they're producing. So don't let the surface viewership numbers and what people are saying discourage the fact that the Call of Duty League is doing well. That's the second thing that has been the biggest complaint from people and fans of the CDL, is that the viewership numbers have been lacking. It's not where we need it to be. I agree in the present we can get more viewers, but like I said in my first point of this topic, when we get back to being on LAN and the Call of Duty League can actually produce what it has wanted to this whole time, things are going to get incredible. Because you think about home series that were planned back in Modern Warfare. Let's take the Chicago Huntsmen home series, for example, because they are one of the most popular teams and they have the biggest fan base around the Call of Duty League. They had a sold out home series. There's going to be 3, 4, 5,000 people packing that arena, stadium, whatever they had sold out. They were all going to be there, part of the festivities, and a lot of cool things were going to happen for the league. Then people were also going to be watching at home and online, and those viewership numbers would have combined. Ticket sales, merch sales, everything that you have to account for has been lost from not being on LAN. So I think when marketing can be done properly from all these teams and they can host their home series in person, sell tickets, and give back to the fans, that will incentivize viewership both in person for people to fly to go see their favorite team, whether they live there at that certain regional area and say, oh, we have a professional Call of Duty team. I like Call of Duty. Their home series is this week. Maybe I'll buy a ticket, drive 30 minutes down the road, and go see what this Call of Duty thing is all about. This is going to be huge for the Call of Duty League next year, but the biggest thing that we have to look at to draw those fans in, to draw eyeballs in, is the game itself. What everyone is talking about, March of, I think it was 2020, is when Warzone originally dropped and came out. Since then, a lot of the development of Call of Duty and the progressiveness has been focused on Warzone. They're trying to excel that because look at how it's doing. Look at the numbers that it's providing for Activision and for the producers of Call of Duty. It's huge. It's gigantic, and people love it. People love the Battle Royale genre. They've done a great job with it. And now the biggest scare, and I think what Clayster and everyone is alluding to, is how it will take away from the original fan base that created competitive Call of Duty back in the MLG days, the Call of Duty World League days, and now the Call of Duty League days. Because what is the basis of competitive Call of Duty? It's the plain and simple stripped down multiplayer, and then we go on to make that a competitive league. That's how it's always been in Call of Duty, and it's how it will continue to be. If the producers of these games are not putting focus into multiplayer and it being at the forefront of their minds, and it's going to suck and the fans don't care about it, that will retract viewers that you already have, and they're going to go ahead and scooch on over to Warzone and want to continue to play that as long as that continues to be built, processed, and enhanced for the casual viewer. Also on top of that, from the competitive specter of things, Warzone is doing and hosting a lot of tournaments. Pretty much every day there's a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 tournament, but in my opinion, the Call of Duty League is better than that. There's not a great format for Warzone. A lot of the pros and players who have participated in these tournaments have talked about it, but I believe things are getting closer and threatening from Warzone with events like the World Series of Warzone. When you watch these kill races, these RNG-based events that are going on, the players aren't really liking it, and then when they've hosted tournaments to go for placement, every Battle Royale has struggled to have a competitive layout and setting and platform to play on. When you watch PUBG, even when they tried to do it back in H1Z1, right when competitive started, and they said, oh, if you come in first place, you win the tournament, it lost all entertainment. It was not fun to watch at all, because everyone would just play like a bunch of rats, camp, wait to be the last player alive, get one kill, and that's not what we want to see. What we watch these Battle Royales for are for our favorite streamers, to pick up high kills, go for placement, and kind of a combination of that. I think the World Series of Warzone was a good start because it was put on by a great company, an esports engine, hosted on Twitch, had a lot of viewership, and all the big names were playing in a dedicated lobby, basically. And on top of that, the format was more based around kills than it was placement. You got multipliers if you placed, but kills are what really racked up the points for your team and allowed you to do well. So that incentivized players being more aggressive on the map rather than just sitting against all this other top competition and saying, I don't want to take a gunfight against Aiden or Huskers or Scump or Formal or Crim6 or Karma. I don't want to fight those guys. They're cracked. Instead, the kills kind of made you play a little more aggressive and push towards it. So if Warzone does that and makes a competitive gameplay and rule set, if you will, where it's more based around speed and kills violence, speed, momentum, as Dr. Disrespect would say, then I think that can push the initiative and possibly threaten the Call of Duty League. I don't think that the CDL will falter and go away anytime soon. I don't think it's going to be 1 year. I don't think it's going to be 2 years because they've invested so much. They've franchised the league and it's becoming big. Has Warzone taken a lot away? Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. But can the Call of Duty League still succeed? Yes, is the answer. Those are the first few bullet points, and I know I've gone on with this for a little bit, but it's an important topic to speak on. And the last thing that I will say, and this in my opinion is the most important to make the Call of Duty League the most popular aspect of Call of Duty and have fans enjoy multiplayer, it comes down to everything we've talked about all season long. A good ranked play, rewards, customization, and give fans a way to compare themselves to the pros like a great league play system that League of Legends has. We don't have anything like that in the Call of Duty scene right now. We have a league play, yeah, you get an emblem and then your rank resets every 3 days. That gives you nothing. When you look at League of Legends, you can compare yourselves to pros and say, holy cow, Faker is the highest possible level in League of Legends. I'm the highest possible level in League of Legends. I'm cracked. I get in a game with Faker. You can compare yourself there and have a ranked play system. On top of that, that rule set being played makes you feel like a professional Call of Duty player because you're on the same field of play that they are. When they're playing these map sets, these rules, using these GAs, these guns, and things of that nature, and you're doing the exact same thing in the ranked play on a weekend, you feel like them. But right now, there's not a good ranking system in the league play. There's no ELO system. Nothing is great. It feels like it's kind of by chance. So what we need to do to have the Call of Duty League excel, to get fans interested in the Call of Duty League, is make it comparable to what they feel from a player's perspective. Make multiplayer good. Put effort into that so people enjoy playing that and can strafe away from Warzone a little bit, even though that's your moneymaker. If you want people in the Call of Duty League and want them to be invested as fans, viewers, and even players, then you have to make it relatable. So in these next couple Call of Duty titles, I think it's crucial that the players will think, oh wow, I'm really enjoying this multiplayer. We haven't had a great multiplayer in a while. I can grind this for a while. Then you put out a good ranked play system. Oh my gosh, I'm going to grind that every day. Look at a streamer like Tyler1 in League of Legends. He has played ranked League of Legends for years now and has not gotten sick of it. Give us something like that that makes us want to play every single day in the Call of Duty League. If you can do that, market a good multiplayer, market a good league play, give us a great ranking system, something to grind and compare ourselves to the pros, and also rewards on top of that, I think you have something great for the next Call of Duty, and I think that is how the CDL stays alive, prospers, and grows to be one of the biggest competitive esports leagues on the planet. That is my first blood take. I know it was a lot to unravel. There were a lot of bullet points, a lot of good conversations to be had around that. Let me know what you think. Are you worried that the CDL is going to crumble and be no more? Or do you think it will prosper and excel as a competitive esport? Hit me in the comments, the Rotation with Zhack, or on Twitter at Zhack16. But now, let's get away from that and hop straight into the Barracks news and notes from around the league. It feels like it's been an eternity since we've had a competitive and professional Call of Duty League match played, but Stage 5 is finally here. There's a lot of news to unravel and a lot to talk about, and I'm excited to chat about all of these hard-hitting conversations that we are about to have. So for the Barracks news and notes around the league, we're breaking it down with a double-edged sword here of the LA Thieves. A couple of things to talk about. I'm still picking what I want to start with first. I think we're going to go back to what happened at the Stage 4 Major on land for these guys. We all know the situation that happened with Huke. I explained it in the last video of the original story. Now more has been uncovered, details have surfaced, and this is just a mind-blowing situation at how the hell this happened with the LA Thieves. So the original situation was as simple as Kyler spelt his name wrong on his COVID test, couldn't get it done, so he couldn't play. No. Thank you, Zuma and Ben and The Flank in general, one of the greatest esports podcasts, next to the Rotation with Zhack, of course, in the Call of Duty scene, for getting Kenny on to talk about all this. So Kenny spoke about the true situation and how it went down with Huke. I got a couple bullet points to lay out for you guys. This is essentially how it went down. He said that in the group chat, Kyler was texting them and said, hey, I couldn't get the COVID test done. And Kenny and TJ were like, what? It takes like 15, 20 minutes. It was a very simple process. Then they figured out that his name on his profile was spelled wrong. And they texted him and said, dude, just fix your name. Like literally delete the typo. You can create a new account and put your name in correctly. He said it was still extremely hard to figure out, couldn't get it done that day. Then we go to the next day, and Eric, a.k.a. Mud Dog, said, dude, you need to set up your account and get to the venue immediately so we can get this done, get you tested, have it processed, have you pass the COVID test so we can get ready to play today. Huke responded to Mud Dog and said, I'm just focused on the game right now. That is what Kenny said. We have not heard a second story from Huke, so this is just what Kenny has unraveled. So Huke says, I'm focused on the game right now. I'm ready to go on that. I'm just really focused on that. I can't focus on this other stuff. And Kenny said, dude, wake up. You're not going to be able to play if you don't get this COVID test done. So they are telling him, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Essentially what happens after that, Huke shows up about 40 minutes late, still did not make an account on his way over in the Uber. His brother was driving him, something like that. He didn't make an account. So Mud Dog is going, oh my gosh, I have to take this into my own hands and be the leader of the team here. So Mud Dog makes an account for Huke and tells him, all right, let's go get to the venue. Let's get this COVID test done so we can have you play. Huke shows up late to the venue, forgets his driver's license, texts his brother and says, oh, can you bring my driver's license? Because Huke just took a picture of the driver's license on his phone. You think you can go to TSA in the airport with a picture of your license on your phone and get through security? That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen with a government COVID test either. So he does that, and then Kenny says, by the time this was happening and done, we were on the stage already playing. To make this situation a little bit sweeter, Kenny said Mud Dog got all their substitutes their COVID tests and everything done on the same day, the morning of that Huke was also going to get his done and recover from the typo. They were able to get it done, but it just seemed like Huke didn't want to get it done. This is incredible. What the hell happened? What a situation for Huke, for the LA Thieves as an organization. It sounds like from what Kenny is saying, they did everything in their power to get this done, get him tested, and Huke was just asleep at the wheel. Not willing to do it, I don't know, or not ready to do it, but it is crazy how this happens. So that's the situation, how it plays out, how it's unfolded. My reaction of it is that, I mean, with the details there of what Kenny and Mud Dog and everyone are saying, is that this falls on Huke as his responsibility, and now what's happened is he pays for it. No longer anticipated to be on the LA Thieves roster, and what if he doesn't even play for the remainder of this year? What if he doesn't play next year? There's a lot of question marks around Huke. So much has happened to him this year, and we saw him open up with the video he posted, but he's been dropped by a team, benched by another one, comes back, can't get a COVID test done on land for a chance to prove himself, then gets benched again, and that brings me into the next bullet point. A crazy situation unravels, diminishes an opportunity for one person in Huke, and it increases and brings an opportunity to light. When one door closes, another door opens for someone else, and I am talking about John. It's announced he is on the starting roster for the LA Thieves, headed into Stage 5 right now, and I gotta smile. I'm grinning because I am so excited to see this guy back in competition. John is a beast. If you haven't seen him perform, because he's been out of the league for a little bit, he was taking care of some mental health stuff and certain situations in his personal life that he had going on. He is disgusting on the sticks. He's a high caliber, fast paced, absolutely nutty, game-changing submachine gun player, and his former teammate Slasher right by his side again. This guy's a world champion, and he has won events back in Black Ops 4. I think he placed T6 in Champs, and he won an event back in BO4. This guy has accolades. He's a world champion. He has the credentials to back his name, and on top of that, he has been playing stellar in the challenger scene with the opportunities that he's had. I am really excited to see John come back into the Call of Duty League, and I expect him to make a big statement this opening weekend for Stage 5. The LA Thieves have a couple of matches. We'll break those down. But my initial reaction, I'm excited to see John back in the league. I've talked about it all year long. There are so many savvy veterans playing challengers right now who deserve a spot in the CDL. John just happens to be one of them. A lot of situations break down with the LA Thieves. They make their millionth roster change of the season, but this one's a good one. These guys have had time to practice, time to get some shots in under their belt, formulate strategies, and now I think what the starting lineup is going to be is Slasher, Kenny, Draza, and John. On paper, it's gross. I've had my hopes up about pretty much every roster that the LA Thieves have dropped, and I've been disappointed with pretty much every one. With everything on land, I don't even want to talk about this anymore, but basically I had them making a deep losers bracket run with Huke and everyone back on land. Then they get first rounded, screwed my predictions over, whatever. I'm over it. I think John is going to make a big statement in Stage 5. And speaking of Stage 5, it is already here. It's time to talk about groups. So let's bring it up. Let's hit you guys with a little transition. You'll see my show notes there for a second. And let's break down our Stage 5 groups. With everything that's happened since the major and how these teams have all competed against one another, these are both disgusting groups. If you look at Group A, you see the Atlanta FaZe, the champions, of course, because when do they lose? These guys are the best in the game. Number 1 seed Atlanta FaZe. Then you have a struggling OpTic Chicago team. I mean, a 4th place finish, it's not shabby, but it's not the expectation that they have headed into a tournament by any stretch of the imagination with that roster. When you hear Dashy, Envoy, Scump, and Formal, on paper, that's a roster that can win. They're having problems, which we'll talk about in a little bit. LA Thieves, with that new look roster with John on the team. Then NYSL, who I think with ASIM back can be a top 2, maybe even top 3, somewhere in that range team. And then each group has the bottom 2 teams. This one, I think, are a little bit stronger than Group B with the Paris Legion and London Royal Ravens. So that's how Group A is shaken up. And then to look at Group B before we break everything down in the grand scheme, the Dallas Empire, maybe you can rank them at number 2 right now just because they made it to the grand finals in the Stage 4 Major. Then the Toronto Ultra, also an argument for a number 2 slot. Minnesota Rocker, Florida Mutineers, LAG, who make a head-scratching change on their roster with Cheen. I don't know what's going on over there. And then the Seattle Surge, who showed up on land, but you got to remember the home series were not back on land yet for all those, I don't think, unless something has been announced that I absolutely don't know. So we don't know if Seattle is going to be in the right mindset. Octane's talked about it to see what can happen with these guys. Looking at these two groups based on the teams that are in there, the top tier talent and potential, I would have to say that Group A is stronger. Atlanta FaZe are the most dominant team in the Call of Duty League, and it's going to be a battle for the 2nd through 5th spot for everybody else in that group. I think that OpTic and the Subliners, so here's how I'm going to break it down. I'll break it down in tiers. Top tier, the Atlanta FaZe. Okay, so they're tier number 1. Now you can break down tier 1B list with some other teams, but those other teams aren't in that group. So top tier, Atlanta FaZe, then you go down to tier 1, because that's God tier, then down to tier 1. I think you put in the New York Subliners, followed by OpTic Gaming, and then tier 1B, so basically in there, but not on the same level, are the LA Thieves. So that's how I think this group shakes down, and I'm curious and interested to see what Paris and the Royal Ravens can do, because they have both shown flashes of brilliance throughout this year. I think Temp is a great addition on Paris, and Matty Marshall is incredible as well. So I think if anyone can make a statement from the bottom 2, it's Paris, but I just don't know. It depends how LA Thieves gels with their roster and if OpTic can solve their problems. But right now, in the top 3, the winners bracket teams, it's going to be an absolute battle. Because Atlanta FaZe, you have to put them in the 1 spot. When you look at it and break it down, Atlanta FaZe are going to be the number 1 team. Then I would have to predict it's going to be Subliners, and depending what John can do, it may be LA Thieves or OpTic in the 3 spot. Then you notch down to Group B, and this is where I talked about you can have people in the same tier. Ultra and Empire, neck and neck. That's going to be a battle for the ages, and the matches that they play against each other throughout Stage 5 in Group B, they're going to decide who gets the bye, because they're the top 2, and then there's a battle for the 3 spot between Minnesota and Florida. Those 2 teams are on the exact same level, in my opinion, and it comes down to the submachine gun play in their matches. Neptune and Havoc against Standy and Attach. You have 2 rookie submachine gun players who have been dominant and come out of the woodworks and performed incredibly well on the season, who will be competing to be the star performer of their team. When you look at support roles, however, I think Florida have the edge. I think Big Wake and Skies outperform Priesta and Major Maniac, just where things have been up to this point in the season. From there, I think the LAG are going to struggle. I mean, Cheen is the best player on their team, and then they bench him. That's not a discredit to Mental, because I think he can come in and prove himself. He's a competitor. We've seen him in Gears of War be absolutely stellar. But just the composition and what's going on in the organization right there, I don't like it. So I think that LAG struggle, Seattle, they could pull off a couple of victories. It depends the mindset that team is in, but they showed that they have the prowess, the leadership, and the ability to compete and win some matches. They could have knocked OpTic out. Remember that, in the Stage 4 Major. It went the distance, went all 5 maps. They lost in the final S&D to OpTic. But if they can have the mindset that they're good enough to compete online and put all that BS to the side, they can be up there. Right now, I just think Vivid for Dallas Empire has stepped into a big role. I like the way he's been playing, and he's finally learned where he's supposed to be and the role player he is supposed to excel to be, if you will, on this Dallas Empire team. That was just a terrible way to put that. So let me try that again. But Vivid has stepped into a big role, and he knows his place on the roster. His responsibilities of filling lanes, playing fast, being big in S&D, He understands those now, and that makes this team work as a unit, and they're comprised of talent. I think Empire could take the 1 spot, followed by Ultra at number 2 in Group B, and then I think it'll go Florida, Minnesota, Seattle, LAG. There's a lot going on in these two groups, and this may be the most competitive that we've seen it all season long, and I'm really excited to see how things shake down in Stage 5. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be fast and furious. Family, Vin Diesel. I love all those memes going on, by the way. It's great. It's like, let's make a Call of Duty meme right now with that. Let's put up, say, a picture of the Atlanta FaZe roster, and then against the Seattle Surge, and Octane is like, nah, man, we can take them because we have family. Like that's how it feels, what's going on right now. But it's going to be incredible. The competition will be fierce, and I'm excited for it. Should we just keep the trend going? Should we just keep the prediction trend going? I don't know why I'm backing out of that when we can talk about what is happening and the matches that we have laid out for Stage 5. It is the New York Subliners Home Series presented by Andbox Official, I'm sure. Game Fuel will be there. It's going to be incredible stuff. So let's bring that up. Let's get the picture going. Come on. Load it up. Let's see. What just happened? Oh my gosh. Breaking news on the Rotation with Zhack. When we come in, this was not planned. As we're recording this episode, we're 32 minutes deep. Look at this. 26 minutes to go. Major 5 plus fans. Winky face. Tickets on sale. Let's go. Let's go. Fans are back on LAN. Yes. Woo! Call of Duty is here. Oh my gosh. Let's read the statement. Let's get into it. The following statement was released by the Call of Duty League. All right, let's see. For immediate release, the following statement was released today by the Call of Duty League through its event team in response to questions about fans being in attendance during the upcoming Call of Duty League Major 5 event at Esports Stadium Arlington from July 29th through August 1st. We back. Let's go. This changes everything. Fans are back. LAN will be at its fullest. It will be incredible to watch, incredible to see. All the hype is there. Oh my gosh. This is just, I'm blown away. My heart's pounding right now. This is exactly what we needed to see. It's what we wanted to see. Fans are back. Thank you, Call of Duty League. Now, here comes the problem. I'm going to Vegas. I'll be in Vegas that week. I'm going on vacation with Meg. We're going to have a lovely time. I'll watch Call of Duty while I'm there. It won't be in person, but with Champs rolling around, I guarantee they'll probably have fans at Champs. I might have to convince Meg to take another vacation and show up at Champs. Yikes. Let me know. That is incredible. LAN is back. Fans are back. Let's get it. Let's jump into these Stage 5. Oh, man, the predictions of the New York Subliners home series. First up, big match. We have the Atlanta FaZe versus the London Royal Ravens. I think it's a no-brainer when you look at it. Atlanta FaZe, they're going to take it. They're too dirty. They are incredible as a team. They don't make mistakes. Like plain and simple, they're just the best in the game. We're kicking off the weekend on Thursday, July 8th with that match. I think Atlanta FaZe take it 3-0. 3-1? 3-0? 3-1? What happens? Yeah, I think they'll dominate. 3-0 Atlanta FaZe. And the next one, OpTic Chicago versus Paris Legion. This could be tight. I think OpTic, I'm going to lean towards 3-1. Paris have taken search and destroys against them in FaZe in the past. I think that's where they shine. So I think it'll be 3-1 OpTic Chicago. Then we hop over to Saturday. Atlanta FaZe, Paris Legion. They're too dominant. I think Paris will take a map. The last time these two teams played, it went the distance, all 5 maps. I'll give it 3-1 Atlanta FaZe. Paris Legion take the SND. This team that I talked about, one of the wild cards in Group B, is your next matchup, Florida versus Seattle. I think Neptune, he comes out and performs incredibly well. I don't know if Seattle get off to a hot start. I give this one to the Florida Mutineers 3-1 against the Seattle Surge. Do I like that? Yeah, I like it. 3-1, Florida over Seattle. Then we fire away to the Dallas Empire versus LAG, the Game Fuel marquee matchup. I think the Empire make a statement. I think LAG struggles with the roster change, getting rid of Cheen, Mental coming on. Maybe they've been practicing well, maybe they've been performing well, but Dallas has been even better. I think 3-0 Dallas Empire take the clean sweep over LAG here. We move over now. Oh man, I went backwards. I went Thursday, Saturday, then I'm going back to Friday. I went vertical, then to the right. I read it like, yeah, I don't know how I read it. Okay, so those are my Saturday predictions. Then we'll go Friday, Sunday now. So Friday, it's Minnesota, LAG. I think LAG will lose back-to-back matches, man. I think they're going to fall 3-1 to Minnesota. If anything, I don't know what kind of S&D team they'll be now without Cheen. So 3-1 Minnesota. And then you got your T-Mobile weekly drop here in the next match on Friday. NYSL versus this newfound LA Thieves team. This is one that I highlight. I think we can see fireworks, but with ASIM back, I think that New York get the edge here. 3-2. Let's go 5, baby. John will perform well, but NYSL will take the win. Let's flip it over to Sunday now. This one, LA Thieves, they'll take a win here. 3-1 over the London Royal Ravens. And then after this, Toronto Ultra, Minnesota Rocker. This is one that I can envision going the distance. We'll take 3-2 in favor of the Toronto Ultra. I think they're too good in the SND. Insight and Cammy are two players to watch out for. They'll step up big. And I think that Bance, he's set to have a big stage. Towards the end of the Stage 4 Major, he kind of faltered, slowed down a little bit from his expectations. I think that Bance steps up throughout Stage 5. Final match of the weekend. At their home series, they take on OpTic Chicago, who have been struggling with some issues that we'll talk about here in a second. I have the New York Subliners. Man, are they going to go 5? Both their matches on the weekend? I think so. I'll take NYSL 3-2. They'll start 2-0, putting OpTic 1-1. Then Paris will be 0-2 in that stage, and Atlanta FaZe will be tied with New York at 2-0. That's the breakdown. Those are my predictions for the Week 1 Stage 5 NYSL Home Series event. You bet. Play on words there, bet. That Maloney, he'll be making some good tweets. Shout out Maloney Media. Love that segment on the YouTube channel with Bet. So that's how I have the breakdown. Give me your predictions for the first week of Stage 5. And we got a couple more things to talk about before we end this episode of the rotation. So let's get back into it. That was extremely exciting. That turned me up. My initial reaction that fans are back on LAN. It's going to be incredible for the players, incredible for the fans. You love to see it. Thank you, CDL. Final thing we have to talk about, final thing in Barracks, news and notes from around the league, I should say. Something that popped up on the TL. It was Scump talking about OpTic, and basically what he said, I talked about them struggling, he said the same thing. So Scump comes out and says, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, making the same mistakes, and we know the mistakes, which is even more frustrating. One of the most annoying things to OpTic Scumpy is that he's been popping off and playing incredible, performing, having one of his best years and best stages back in Stage 4, but his gameplay is still getting criticized, and he's taking almost the most hate out of anyone on that team. So I think the way to break this down, it's actually a positive. Because this isn't a bad thing where he's putting hate on his teammates and saying, we suck, we can't figure it out, we're trash. I think the biggest thing is that they've identified the mistakes that they are making. Now they have to figure out how to fix them, though. But Scump coming out and saying this does not upset any of his teammates, in my opinion. I think identifying the issue and bringing light to it is actually more important than just sweeping it under the rug and trying to fix these things behind closed doors. I think that OpTic will be able to fix these mistakes, but what they have to do is play as a cohesive unit is the biggest thing in my opinion. Because what I mean by that is throughout the previous stages, OpTic Chicago have struggled getting on the same page. It's one guy or another. For example, Scump will pop off and Formal will have a disappointing series. And then Envoy and Dashy will be in the middle. Or you'll have Dashy play incredible, then that's when Scump has a bad series, and then Formal and Envoy are in the middle. You got to have at least 3 guys performing at their peak to get through a series and win, especially against big teams like FaZe, Subliners, Empire, and Ultra. You have to be on your A game. Against those top tier teams, you basically have to have all 4 of your players being at the level that they know they can perform to and have 1 or 2 guys absolutely pop off and go mental in a series. OpTic needs to get everyone playing as a cohesive unit, finding their roles, sticking in it, and those split-second situations, I think those are big things that they can pick up on and advance on and bring to light throughout Stage 5. So I appreciate Scump saying all of this and coming out and identifying the problem. To all the fans criticizing him and criticizing any CDL player for that matter, you don't know what these guys go through. That is another big thing. Scump, after the Stage 4 major, he came out and talked about his mental health. So shout out to him. It's important to bring it to light, and all these fans need to understand, settle down. Like, what are we doing? You criticize him when he does good, you criticize him when he does bad. And he even identified and said this in a clip I saw of him talking about their situations. It's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Like, he gets the hate, and it comes with the territory of being a professional athlete, esports player, whatever you want to call it. But also, it's like, what are we doing? Criticizing his play, he's playing great. Everyone's getting mad at him, even when he's performing well and popping off. I think OpTic fix these issues, have a good Stage 5, and hopefully for their sake, they can get up to a grand final, maybe, with only 2 to go. We got the Stage 5 major, then champs, then the season is over. So it has to be a quick fix for the mistakes that OpTic are making, but I think they can get it done. That's everything we have to talk about for the Barracks news and notes from around the league. And let's hop in to all of our favorites. Some fantasy Call of Duty talk. Let's get straight into it. CDL Fantasy standouts and expectations here headed into Stage 5. Fantasy standouts from the CDL. Couple of big players to highlight who I think are must-haves on your roster. You have to go out and get them. You got to put them on the team, whether you're doing the draft royale or you're in a league, make a trade, something like that for them. The first player to highlight comes from the Florida Mutineers, a team that I think will compete in Group B. And the player to look at is Neptune. A rookie in the CDL, and in my opinion, he's the guy that does it all. He's been great all season long, and on top of that, he has an incredible matchup against the Seattle Surge this week. I know that Seattle played incredible on LAN, but I think Florida, they'll fix the mistakes that they showed to lose to the pickup team of NYSL when they lost in 5 maps. We're not going to touch on that. But I think that they bounce back from that and they come out and have a strong first performance from the Seattle Surge. Neptune is going to go big. SND kills, they're huge. They are multiplied and they are gigantic for fantasy points. You know he's going to be big in the respawns, but he can drop double digits in SND. 2 of the last 3 matches, Neptune has gone with double-digit kills in Search and Destroy. When you look at his performance from the Stage 4 Major, he was one of the best in the league. 105 points is what he put up for your fantasy roster if you had Neptune. That was done comprised of a 1.36 overall KD, 1.45 in the hardpoint, 1.65 in SND, and a 1.13 in the control. It was his first time on LAN. He showed up. I think that translates to Stage 5 play back online, and as we head into the Stage 5 Major, I think he'll be a guy to look out for again on LAN because he has proven himself. He is a fantasy standout. Get Neptune on your team. I know he will come with a big price, so build around that. We'll get there in a little bit when I talk about sleepers of who you can get a little bit of bang for your buck if you spend those big bucks on guys like Neptune, Standy, and Abizi. The next player, a fantasy standout, another one of those high-priced players, comes from the best team in the league, the Atlanta FaZe, Scump. He's dropping big numbers all season long, and these guys, they spread the wealth. Like, everyone on their team is a good fantasy player to have. Scump, Abizi, Celium, Arcides, you cannot go wrong picking up any of them. Now, don't put all of them on your team. I don't even know if I'd like to double up with an AR and an SMG there, because that can get kind of dicey. But these guys will always have a breakout series, and this week I think Scump is going to have a big one. They're playing London and Paris this week. It's been quite some time since they've had a matchup against these two teams, though. The last time that Atlanta FaZe took on Paris, Scump had a 1.7 in the first hardpoint and a 1.29 in the control. But like I mentioned earlier in my predictions, Paris 6-1 the Atlanta FaZe in the S&D when they last met. I don't think the same thing happens this time around. Maybe they lose the S&D, but Scump will perform a little bit better here. I think he'll have a great series in the respawn again, and that's a good matchup for Atlanta FaZe. And the next one, against the London Royal Ravens, they're going on the European tour here. They haven't met the Royal Ravens since week 8. The Atlanta FaZe had a tough first 2 maps. This one went the distance, all 5. He posted a 1.32, 1.13, and 1.13 in the final 3 maps. Again, this was a different roster. It was Shawnee, Paul X, Zaptius, and Zed for London, but I don't think that really matters. I think that Scump puts up numbers against this London team and against this Paris roster. He's had 300-point weeks on the year. Look for him to have another one this week. The final player who I claim to be a fantasy standout headed into the first week of Stage 5, it's Insight from the Toronto Ultra. We had to pick someone up, another player from Group B. Through the season, since he started in week 4, I believe it was, he has averaged 80 points per week and is closing in on 1,000 overall points on the season. He's only played 12 weeks. He came here in week 4 and he's almost touching 1,000 fantasy points on the season. That is an insane stat line. I think Insight is a beast. I think he's a stellar player. The matchups are decent for the Toronto Ultra this week. I watch out for Insight to play big. They take on the Minnesota Rocker. I think that they'll be able to perform well against that team, and Insight could be a shining light for them. Him and Bance, I highlight as 2 that will pop off, but I just think Insight has a little bit bigger of a week. Those are my fantasy standouts headed into the beginning of Stage 5. Anyone else a little tired? I'm not, because I got my coffee here. Woo! Woo! That's getting me cracked, ready to go. Probably going to play some league play after this. Who knows? But I'm not tired, having a little play on words. Your fantasy roster, it might be though. You might spend a little too much. You have to look for someone who's a little bit cheaper. Let's talk about sleepers. CDL Fantasy Sleepers. 3 names I want to highlight. Bang for your buck and players who maybe aren't looked upon to have the biggest performance that I think they will. The first one comes from the Dallas Empire out of Group B, and his name is Vivid. Picked up this year for the Dallas Empire, and if you're tight on money, this is an incredible buy. If you've built your team in a draft royale based on the big players, you get like a Standy, a Simp, a Beezy, a Neptune, a high caliber AR like Octane, maybe someone in a flex role, Insight, whoever you pick up. If you spend a lot of money to comprise the early stages of your roster, you can get Vivid for 38. How good is that? That is great value for a player who I think is finding a role on the Empire roster and can take over the search and destroy. I believe that's his bread and butter, and I think he steps up in a big way. I love the way Vivid was looking in the Stage 5 Major towards the end. He helped a lot in that series to go the distance against the Atlanta FaZe in all 9 maps. And you look at the matchup, Empire have one of them this week, and it's against LAG. Watch out for Vivid. He's a good bang for your buck pickup in a draft royale this week, or if you need to hit someone off the waiver wire, if you had a roster change on your team, or someone you don't think is going to perform, replace him with Vivid. Next up, I talk about a former champion, a stellar player, someone who I think can step right in and make a gigantic change on his team. It is John from the LA Thieves. If you're feeling like taking a risk, you got a good roster, but someone on the waiver wire could make it a little bit better, I think John is a good one. If you have a low tier SMG, if you're in a big like 8-10 man league, he's the one to pick up. He's been incredible in challengers. I'm sure no one's picked him up in your league yet. And all season long, he's been nice in the challenger scene. We know his track record. We know his history. And he's playing with his former teammate Slasher. The matchups here, it's the subliners, which I think will be a tough matchup, but it will inspire him to play big. And then they also get the London Royal Ravens. I think if you want to take a shot on someone, the person is John. He plays fast. He'll look for a lot of kills, which can add up to big stats if he stays positive. Plays the OBJ extremely well, and I think he'll step up in S&D as well. It's a big spot for John. I think he steps up and rises to the occasion. The last player and the final thing we're hitting on this week for Fantasy Sleepers, it's Bruce Dashy from OpTic Chicago. He's been the better AR for OpTic in my opinion. I think Formal has been a little lackluster when it comes to fantasy production, so Dashy is the guy to look at for OpTic. He has big weak potential, but on top of that, he can do you dirty and go wrong for you. He's had a couple weeks where he's only touched 30 fantasy points. That is horrendous. But also, he's had a few weeks between 90 and 100 plus. So you're taking a risk with Dashy, but that's what we do in the sleeper category. You look at the matchups for OpTic Chicago throughout this first week. They have the Paris Legion and the New York Subliners. The Subliners will definitely be the harder matchup. I think that he can show up. Bruce can play big. I don't anticipate one of those 30 to 70 point weeks. I think you can look somewhere from 75 to 95 out of Dashy this week. Those are my CDL fantasy sleepers and standouts. Guys, that does it for episode 21 of the Rotation with Zhack. But we got a big announcement throughout the episode. LAN is back for the Stage 5 Major with fans. Let's go. Let's get it. Oh, I'm so excited. We get fans back. It's going to be a stellar environment. I hope you guys get to go and enjoy it. Say what's up to your favorite players for me. Tell them Zhack sent you. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in to episode 21 of the Rotation with Zhack. Hit me on the socials. Subscribe on YouTube at Zhack16. Like, comment, share the podcast on Twitter at Zhack16. Instagram, it is Zhack16. Once again, thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Enjoy week 1 of Stage 5, and we'll see you next time. Peace.